Discussions, and we'll be having in the studio Philip Langdon. Is an aide to Alan Chitramanting, and he will be joining us soon as and when he comes. So we'll invite him into the discussions. But in the studio is the chairman for NDC for the Greater Accra region, and we have Joseph Ni Adekoka. Ni?
I hear me too.
Uncle Ade, that's how I call him.
That's
and
right.
On the front pages of the newspapers, we have gunfire at NDC Congress as delegates cry over food. We also have concerns over what's the in some of the newspapers about how some of the candidates' laws and whether who has it, etc. How did the elections go from over the weekend?
Well, so far in Greater Accra, we've done about 26 constituencies, and we are left about 8 to do. Then we are through with it, and it's been going well. The candidates have comported themselves. The winners and losers have all come together to ensure that we move forward. I mean, election is either you win or you lose. Once you lose, you take it in good stride. When you win, you extend the hand of friendship to those who have lost, and together you move on. So far in Greater Accra, I mean, you know, it's been very peaceful. All over the place, and that's a mark of people were accusing us of being incompetent, and at the last hour they themselves did not even turn up at their constituencies for the elections to take place. Yesterday we had Ablekuma Central, Ayawaso Central, Ablekuma West, Tema Central. So, and they were peaceful elections, and I say kudos to the candidates and kudos to the delegates who comported themselves. I read there's gunfire at NDC Congress, and they were talking about food, and I think that should not be a story, because provisions are made by the constituencies to provide them water and snacks.
But so this one wasn't in Accra, though. It was in Obuasi.
It was in Obuasi, yeah. I'm surprised to have read that, because I mean, it behoves on the constituency as the executive to at least provide water and a bit of refreshment for the delegates. So I'll be surprised that this did not happen. Sometimes, you know, people have to stoke some fire to make the whole thing interesting. But so far, so good in Greater Accra.
There were reports in Medina that there was supposed to have been an injunction, but the executives or the conveners of the election seem to have gone ahead. But they also met the absence of the Electoral Commission, because the Electoral Commission had also been served with the injunction. I don't know whether you know about it.
No, it was the chairman of the constituency who was a candidate, and she pulled out. And she's the one causing the problem. The injunction per our lawyers lasted for 10 days. And thereafter, we could go ahead and have the election. So we're having an election. And some of the concerns that were raised had been addressed. And she was supposed to be in Accra for the election. When we called her, she said she was in the Volta region. And in the morning, said, aren't you coming? She said she would come in the afternoon. Lo and behold, she metaphosed in the morning to go to the police station to ask them to. But that was not the job of the police. You know, they should have contacted the party to find out the relevance of a complaint, right? So we were very upset about the chairman, whom I think did not behave appropriately, because there was no need for her to do what she did, because people have assembled and people have spent money to be there, and then you throw about a writ which was non-existent. But we'll deal with her this morning. We are going to a meeting, and we are going to summon her to come to the region to come and tell us the reason why, because you have no interest there. You've stepped down and you have no interest. So what was the? It means that you've got an agenda you want to pursue, and we feel a chairman should not behave that way at all.
Indeed, for Greater Accra is always a difficult area, a very hot zone for both parties. When we're talking about the topmost political party, NDC and MPP, why is that? I mean, from time immemorial, as I can remember, from 1996 is always very hot.
Yes, I mean, it is the capital of the country, and everything is here. Everybody is here. I mean, Greater Accra is cosmopolitan. You know, it cut across everywhere, and so people have got divergent views, and you must have the skills to manage it. So we've been able to manage Greater Accra, where a lot of people have got different nuances, which you must be able to enhance together. And don't forget, Greater Accra is the McCoy of all the regions, and especially there's a high profile activities here. So to be able to manage, you must have the skills, and that's what I've done all over the 4 years that I've been there. And so these things are manageable. These are cement. You know, when we started, there was hue and cry about race and injunctions and that kind of thing. And so far, all those places, they were trivial matters which people wanted to hype out of the equation. And we've been able to manage, and so far we've got about 26 constituencies going. And by the end of the week, the final 8 will take place, and then we can have a regional congress.
Okay, so in order to make sure that the difficulties are surmounted, how are you roping in as regional executives, the national executives, to make sure that at least you talk to fielding factions and make sure you smoke the peace pipe before you convene your elections? You know,
last week, Wednesday, we met the General Secretary to appraise him of what the happenings in the region. And we judged and certain decisions that he also advised us to do. We did, and some of them are internal issues that we were able to resolve. So the General Secretary, we consult when it becomes necessary, because they are structured in the party. When you have difficulties, the next structure to talk to is the national executive, which is headed by the chief executive, who is the General Secretary. And we do that. So there's always consultation all over the place. You cannot run the region alone. It will be difficult. You need people of like-mindedness to come together to do that.
What's the composition of the delegates who usually come and vote at these regional or constituency elections?
For the constituency election, there are 4 delegates each from the branch. So if you have about 100 and plus branch, we're talking about over 700 delegates. Yeah. In the region, you're talking about 8 from every constituency. So we're talking about plus the MMDCs who are NDC aligned. Then you have the ministers or deputy ministers and the founding members in the region. So in Gator, we're talking about almost about 400 delegates to do the voting for the region. So we were trying to expand it by going biometric so that we will have more people to come on board. Unfortunately, we were not able, the party was not able to accomplish that, because that will give you a wider scope. It's very important that we expand the frontiers of democracy, so that even the person down the branch will have access to vote for the national or regional officials, or at the constituency level, they are able to do that. So we need to expand the frontiers of our structure.
The accusation is that the executives are not in tune with the grassroots people.
You see,
when these phrases are, what was the meaning?
You know, they are. I mean, when they say they are not in tune, they meet them. You see, most of the aspiration of supporters are very high, because don't forget that during the election campaign time, every political party makes numerous promises, and the basic line is that people want employment, right? And they expect that being in the party, they should be able to avail themselves of those opportunities. But I say these opportunities will come when the national economy and all those things, there's a multiplier effect, right? If the economy...
So because we're having challenges nationally, it's also translating...
It translates down. So the aspirations of people are not met. So the first point of call, right, is probably the constituency executives, whom you vent your spleen on, because...
Then you go to the regional.
That's right. Then you assume that, why? I mean, they promise us and that is coming, but they don't know that it has to trickle up downwards. It doesn't trickle down to up. And so, but it's important that you engage them and let them understand that the system is that when we are able to expand and improve the economy, naturally, party faithfuls will benefit.
Well, sir, from the criticism against you, and just like many other executives in the regions, is that you have not been doing the interactions with...
No, we do the interaction. You see, there's a structure. When one message to go down, we will have to meet the constituency executives. We discuss what is, because if you have 150 branches, and when we are talking about branch, talk about 30 people in a polling station or 100 people, it will be difficult for you as a chairman to be able to traverse all the branches. So the structure is that you have a constituency executive. They then go down the ladder. It's just like me having the president. You know, the president will only come on the tour
I will not go to the district.
You don't go to the district. So somebody then at that level, who is the MMDC, does the job to represent the president at that level, and then it goes down.
So it's the same. It's the same.
You have to understand the structure.
Okay.
When you do understand the structure, then you say, "Well, I'm not seeing the chairman." But then those where it is necessary to see, you go on an outreach program and discuss the
Have you been able to go on those outreach programs?
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah.
Then raises a question about then why don't the grassroots people tend to understand what the structure should be?
I've told you that the expectations. You see, when people are expecting something,
the milieu of all the difficulties the economy is facing,
they don't have time even to think about that. They are demanding. They want results. They want answers. For them, the structure is neither here nor there.
So at the end of the day, you, the executive, you tend to bear the brunt.
Yeah, because they want jobs. And for instance, I'll give you a typical example. They want to go and join the police, right? They want to join the military. Now, military is doing a recruitment and it's taking about 1,000 people. 1,000 people, right? You've got 275 constituencies in this country. 1,000 people, right? You've got ministers who have got interest in. You've got a whole.
But we do understand. We've got other parliamentarians. But should it always be that way?
No. No, because that is the expectation. So maybe they'll offer you two slots to find somebody, to recruit somebody who is competent, of course, to come in.
Who's qualified.
Who's qualified as well.
You have to go through.
2, and in Greater Accra, 34 constituencies. How do you get the 2 people to come on board? You see,
you behave like Solomon. You can't have
the flesh. So
it's a difficult thing for you.
These are the challenges that people sitting behind are not aware. But occasionally you are able to resolve 1 or 2 or 3 issues, and I can attest to people that we've been able to assist in diverse ways to pursue whatever career or whatever road they want to traverse on.
It's a difficult thing for you. I can imagine.
Yes.
Being an executive of a political party,
yes,
the expectations
it's daunting, And so when I see people really fighting hard and destroying others to be there, I ask myself, do you know what you are going for? Well, it's not a paid job. And the expectation is that
it's just a sacrifice
that's right.
For the party.
For the party and also for mankind. You see,
you need to develop people.
That's right. It's sometimes I feel that it's a call to duty. That as we all sit here, we have been given certain talents that you need to ensure that you also impart it onto others. You cannot keep it to yourself. Otherwise, there will not be development, and that is what drives us in that direction.
I can imagine. I've been here. Your phone has been ringing. I've seen. It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop.
The next one.
It keeps following.
Averagely, how many missed calls do you get in a day?
Oh, my friend, sometimes about hundreds, and my ears are even paining me. I find it difficult to sometimes answer the phone. And when you have 2 phones, you can imagine, and then 3 phones when you're in the office, then it becomes a war zone.